Hi everybody, it's Michael Wagner. It's great to see you as always. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to spend with me as we sit back and consider the source. Something I've been thinking a lot about lately is one of my favorite sayings. It is, the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. This is originally attributed to A. Gary Shilling at some point in the 1980s. And to me, the reason I'm thinking about this so much is that here at Omnia, we have felt that stock market valuations are stretched, and they have been for some time. And as a result of that, our allocation to U.S. equities is the lowest it's been in many years. Yet the market continues to go up. And that's exactly the point. So we believe very deeply in our process and in all of the work that led us to our conclusion. And we have an opinion, and we express that opinion through our asset allocation. And what we're seeing in the market today is that clearly not everybody shares the same opinion. And you know what? That's okay. We recognize that. And what's encouraging to me is always understanding that volatility cuts both ways, right? We're always afraid of volatility on the downside, right? We are always looking out for that sudden, sharp downward movement in the markets, the dreaded correction, bear market, and the really serious impact it can have on portfolio values. We less frequently think about volatility on the upside. And the truth of the matter is volatility exists on both sides of zero. So as markets continue to go up, even though we don't necessarily feel it's got any relationship to fundamentals or rational process, we stick to our guns. It is very tempting when the whole world is basically going in a different direction than what you think makes any sense, right? And I'm thinking about not just stocks right now, but a lot of, we'll call them risk assets today. Some of the more jokey elements of cryptocurrencies, what you see in meme stocks, some corners of the housing market. You're seeing people pay very irrational prices for assets. And that is essentially a manifestation of FOMO, right? Which is people are afraid of missing out. They're seeing people make all this money, and it can be very tempting to throw your hard work, your process, and really your discipline out the window. And I'm here to tell you that that's exactly the wrong thing to do. As long as you have a process and it makes sense and there's good rationale that went into it, there's nothing wrong with sticking to your guns, because these things are very cyclical, and nothing ever trades exactly on intrinsic value. Again, it cuts both ways. So things can trade above intrinsic value for some time. They can trade below as well. We may very well be in an environment where things are trading above their intrinsic value for a lot of different reasons. The why behind that isn't as important today as it is for you to know that it's really important to have a process. Now, that process can be flexible, right? As new information comes along, you can use that to adjust your process and the way that you do things. But it's important that you have that framework, and that when everything around you seems to be going the other way, when you really can't see the sense or the rationale in other people's decisions, to not give into that temptation to throw it out the window and capitulate and go with the crowd. We've seen that happen before. We know how that story ends, and it's not pretty. So that's my point today, and I think that's the beautiful thing of that statement, is always reminding yourself that no matter how crazy things seem to be, they can continue to be crazy. What you really need, and what is sometimes the hardest thing to have, is patience and faith in what you're doing. Knowing that you've put the work in, that you have your opinion, and you're sticking to it. Of course, be flexible, take into account new information, but always remember, the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. It's a short saying, it's a little nugget of wisdom, but I always go back to that when I am encouraged to or tempted to doubt what we've done and really look around and see what's going on in the world. So Keep your head up. Always do the work. As always, consider the source. And I'm looking forward to hearing any questions, comments. Please send me an email. Give me a call. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks again. Have a great day.